Hello, my name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Today, Terry and I are going to tell you the story of Steve Bing. But first, Terry, how was your weekend?
It was good. Good, solid weekend. How about yourself?
Pretty good. It was Super Bowl weekend, so it was kind of exciting in LA, but, just watched the game. Didn't attend.
I can't believe they didn't burn the city down. Do they have no spirit here?
Oh, no. The parade yesterday was lovely.
Yeah.
A lot of confetti.
But usually they just get so excited that somehow things go wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah, I am too. I'm being silly.
Okay. Steve Bing. Stephen Leon Bing was born in New York City in 1965. When he was a toddler, his family moved to Los Angeles. His parents were Helen, a nurse, and Peter Bing, a well-regarded public health doctor who worked for President John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson. It's pretty impressive.
Wow.
His grandfather, Leo S. Bing, was a real estate developer who had made his fortune in New York in the 1920s, and the man behind the Gramercy Park hotels and dozens of luxury apartments across Manhattan. Gavin Pallone, a prominent agent and manager in the entertainment industry, told The Hollywood Reporter that when he and Bing were in 7th grade together in the mid-'70s, Bing was a popular, attentive kid. He would go home and rewrite the notes he took in class. He got straight A's. He not only worked hard, he was smart. I remember thinking he was going to be a senator, Pallone said. Steve's adolescence was marked by a complicated relationship with his father, Peter, and Steve slept in the guest house of the family compound. Bing attended the Harvard Westlake School, one of LA's most prestigious private schools. Steve got straight A's at Harvard Westlake and sold his first screenplay called Missing in Action with veteran sitcom writer Arthur Silver. Missing in Action was made into a Chuck Norris film and spawned a sequel. Terry, did you sell a screenplay in high school?
Just the fantasy part of it.
Yeah.
No, of course not.
I think I was in junior achievement. I think that's what I did. Okay. At the age of 18, Steve inherited an estimated $600 million from his grandfather and attended Stanford University. Good for him.
He should have just bought Stanford.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd have been the easy way in.
He did drop out before graduating to pursue a career in entertainment. And in the early 2000s, started a production company, Shangri-La Entertainment, and scored an 8-picture deal with Warner Brothers.
Come on.
8 pictures. I don't think I've ever heard of that before.
No, that's like Star Wars. Did he do Star Wars?
No. And I believe that was Fox. But Warner Brothers is my favorite lot. Do you have a favorite lot?
I love Warner Brothers lot. I'm with you.
I love it.
In my youth, when I first moved out here, one of the thrills was we could deliver cars to Warner Brothers lot when they were sold to this person by this person we knew. We jumped on that every time and then wandered around. It was just fun to wander around.
Yes.
Of course, we were arrested and put in jail, but that's not the point.
Yeah, Warner Brothers jail?
Yeah, Warner Brothers jail. It's just full of cartoon characters. It was great.
Yes. Steve also started a record company, a construction company, and bought real estate. He spent lavishly on producing films, $63 million for Sylvester Stallone's Get Carter. And Steve also co-wrote a screenplay with his buddy Scott Rosenberg, and their pitch sparked a major bidding war, and it garnered Bing and Rosenberg a $1.4 million payday from Jerry Bruckheimer. I think those days are gone. I don't know if you get $1 million for a pitch.
No.
Okay. The screenplay entitled Kangaroo Jack, was about two friends from Brooklyn, Jerry O'Connell and Anthony Anderson, who are forced to deliver mob money to Australia. Their misadventures begin when one of them places his red jacket on the kangaroo while attempting to snap a picture. When the kangaroo bounces off, they realize the mob money is in the jacket and are forced to give chase through the outback. It sounds really cute,
It does sound
actually.
cute.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. It's wacky. It was definitely wacky, but it was cute.
Yeah.
According to Wikipedia, Kangaroo Jack was universally panned by the critics, who criticized the acting, directing, writing, humor, violence, and innuendos, especially for a family film, although the visuals and soundtrack were praised. Despite the mostly negative reception, it was a box office success and grossed $88.1 million on a $60 million budget. Yeah. Adult Steve was 6'4" with a lanky build, and he cut a striking figure. He always dressed in jeans, a t-shirt, and sneakers. He supposedly only owned one black blazer, kept for occasions that required a jacket, and he drove a 1997 Lincoln Town Car because he liked the feel of it when driving. Steve was known to be quiet and elusive, and friends said he took great pains to downplay the fortune he had inherited from his grandfather. On the flip side, he was also known to love a good time with friends, and he paid for everything. He loved to gamble, writer-producer Scott Rosenberg told The Hollywood Reporter, adding that Steve would get the sickest high roller suite and put these chips in front of you, and you felt terrible when you lost his money, but you always had a good time. Hollywood producer Brian Grazer said, "If you were his friend and he liked you, he immediately wanted to pay for things and get things done. He was that guy, an extreme enthusiast. We're going to Hawaii. Let's laugh. Let's have fun. Insane. Wildly generous." Steve never married, but dated a lot of celebrities, including Sharon Stone, Liv Tyler, Uma Thurman, Sheryl Crow, and Elizabeth Hurley. In the early 2000s, his personal life became tabloid fodder when he became the subject of two sensational paternity cases. Steve sued billionaire Kirk Kerkorian for invasion of privacy. Steve alleged that the convicted criminal's private investigator, Anthony Pellicano, took Bing's dental floss out of his trash to collect his DNA. At the time, Kerkorian was in a legal fight with his former wife, Lisa Bonder, a former professional tennis player, over the amount of child support he would pay, with the billionaire reportedly suspecting Steve, a previous boyfriend of Lisa's, to actually be the biological father of Bonder's daughter, Kara. After Bing was proved by DNA testing to be the father of Bonder's child, Bing and Kerkorian settled their dispute out of court. And the second one, Bing had a relationship with Elizabeth Hurley, which resulted in a pregnancy. Steve urged Hurley to have an abortion, but Elizabeth refused. Bing denied paternity by alleging that he and Elizabeth had a brief, non-exclusive relationship in 2001. You know you can get pregnant even though it's not exclusive.
And brief doesn't matter either.
Yeah, brief doesn't matter either. A DNA test, however, established Bing as the father, as we said, and Elizabeth Hurley gave birth to Damon Charles Hurley on April 4th, 2002. In 2008, Gawker named Steve part of Clinton's Billionaire Boys Club, which included Ron Burkle and Jeffrey Epstein. By the way, Steve has always denied that he had a close relationship, and Steve and his friends, with Jeffrey Epstein. Hollywood increasingly saw Steve as an aging playboy with a checkbook and an appetite for younger women. He was definitely in this circle of dudes who were hitting the clubs and were too old to be doing it, says an agent who worked with Steve and represented some of his friends. You're in your mid-40s and you're hitting Tao 3 times a week. There's something slightly pathetic about that. Others say, yes, Bing lived a glamorous life, but he was also a deeper, complicated figure. He was much more than sensational headlines. Steve shunned fame, yet was surrounded by celebrities and power brokers. Also, according to Town and Country, in June 2018, Steve met up with his good friend Carrie Mitchum, granddaughter of Robert Mitchum, for dinner at Mr. Lyons, a popular steakhouse in Palm Springs. They had known each other since their 20s, and Steve worshipped her grandfather, Robert Mitchum. He once said his most prized possession was a framed note on stationery from the Four Seasons Hotel, letting him know that Robert Mitchum would join him for lunch, a meeting arranged by his girlfriend at the time, Sharon Stone. Steve told friends that if his house burned down, the note was the only thing he'd save. That night, Carrie's niece, Alex Ann Mitchum, joined them. She was 27, younger than Steve by 26 years, but she was an artist and had a ethereal new age vibe he found intriguing. Despite the age difference, he saw in her a kindred spirit, and soon the unlikely couple were inseparable. A child of actors, she had also suffered a bittersweet upbringing, and she shared his cynical view of Hollywood. They talked about getting out of LA and starting a family together. Steve rented a house for them in Palm Springs, and he promised to build Alex Ann an art studio. For the first time in his life, he was cooking meals at home and eagerly talking about having another child. Then, in June 2019, while they were staying at a hotel in Beverly Hills, the couple had a fight, and Steve asked Alex Ann to spend the night elsewhere. Alex Ann went to a friend's house. She took a Xanax tablet that turned out to be laced with fentanyl, and it caused Alex Ann to overdose. She died 8 days later. Steve was devastated and became convinced that her death had not been an accident. And Carrie Mitchum says she got calls from Steve in the middle of the night asking her if she had learned anything new from the hospital or the detectives investigating Alex Ann's death. Even after the death was ruled an accidental overdose from taking Xanax with fentanyl. Steve endured other troubles as well, and it was rumored drug use had taken a toll on his health, and he attended rehab. About a month after Alex Ann's death, Steve asked a friend to help him manage his finances and to help him commit suicide. The friend managed to talk Steve out of it. Steve moved into the Lux 10,000, a Century City residential tower on Santa Monica Boulevard, which has gained notoriety for its robot butlers and on-site Botox doctors. The penthouse, located atop of the 40-story building, is available for $65,000 a month. On the afternoon of June 22nd, 2020, Steve, the prominent film producer, political donor, and activist, a scion of a prominent real estate family whose name graces multiple buildings across the city, leapt to his death from the 27th floor of the 10,000 apartment building. He was 55 years old. His estate was valued at just $337,000. And this didn't include his properties. It was just the liquid assets. Just so sad.
Wow.
At the time of his death, Steve was working on multiple projects, including a documentary about Jerry Lee Lewis, who he had a close relationship with, whom he called his father, and a biopic of Sun Studios founder Sam Phillips. He was also developing an app to prevent veterans from committing suicide, ironically.
Wow.
The LA Times reported a week before Steve died, independent film producer Cary Elwes spoke with him on the phone. Like most of his friends who were in contact with him, Elwes said, "I didn't suspect anything was off." The COVID shutdown, however, seemed to deepen Bing's sense of isolation. Another friend said, "We were concerned. I'm married and the rest of us have people to be around and ride things out. Steve was so out there, all the time, going, visiting people. The isolation of COVID, I can only imagine it got to him. But he was not the type of guy to call and complain. The week before he died, Bing fell into a deep depression. Alex Ann's death, the COVID isolation, and Father's Day clawed at him. Terry, were you surprised that Steve Bing committed suicide?
I am. I think the blue-collar worker in me sees somebody who's, really doing a great job with his career. I mean, the success level. And a lot of this, imagine writing, like you said before, imagine writing a script that good, that young,
right,
that gets made. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so to me, I would say, when that happened, I'm saying I would, of course, pat myself on the back, probably injure my arm. The point is, I would say the stuff ahead's going to be great.
Yes.
I'm golden. This is going to, it's not going to get worse. It's going to get better. So the idea of this surprise, that's the surprise. You're starting off so great. And I would also say that the average worker bee type guy trying to get things going here, it surprised me that he was cynical about Hollywood when he was Hollywood.
Yeah. I wonder if he didn't. I wonder if because he wasn't a legacy Hollywood, that his family was real estate, he never thought he was of royalty. He wasn't one of the Douglases. So he still kind of looked at it from the outside, even though he was smack in the middle of it.
Yes.
And you would think someone like that just had everything going for them in life. And why would they commit suicide? But depression, losing his girlfriend.
Sure.
That he loved.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what a different time. In the research, Elizabeth Hurley has raised her son. She's asked Steve for nothing. The two women he had children with were perfectly fine to raise their children. And he didn't want anything to do with them. He did come back around, and his father didn't want his two children to be to be in the family will. And Steve fought to make sure they were. So Steve's kids are going to be okay. But why shun those kids for their first part of their lives? I think nowadays you wouldn't do something like that.
I actually can't imagine why somebody would do it. I don't see the upside of it. And if, But
he didn't have a good relationship with his own father.
Well, there's the core thing. There's the starter. But a lot of people children are famous for changing the way we limit ourselves.
Breaking really the pattern.
Yeah, if you want to break a pattern, fall in love with an offspring. It's, first of all, super easy. It takes almost nothing. And to feel that way.
Yeah, did he feel he liked to hang around the Warren Beatties. He loved them. He idolized them. And they were kind of old Hollywood, where you paid off women, you kept things secret. Well, he was born in a different time. He was dating very accomplished women. Right. He didn't have to do what the old boys network did, deny the children.
Yeah, I really think you had it right when you said it started with his distance from his own dad. I mean, that's the thing. But I'm saying that love can change that.
Yes. And that's the story of Steve Bing. Remember, if you're having troubles or if you're struggling, reach out to your friends, reach out to someone. And the number to the suicide hotline is 1-800-273-8255. My resources for Steve's story is an article from Town and Country by Jesse Hyde, Wikipedia, The Hollywood Reporter, Page 6, the LA and New York Times. That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristin Overn. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adomaitis. Music by Ethan Stoller.